Hi, I'm Lisa Ruble from Quilty Zest, and today I'm going to show you the quick and easy way to make a pillowcase burrito style. Here's what my finished pillow looks like. For these pillows, we're using a focal fabric for the main part of the pillowcase, and then a coordinating fabric for the cuff right here, and then a little accent strip, a pop of color that goes between our cuff and our focal print. And like I said, I'm going to show you how to do these burrito style, which is a way that encases all of the seams for our cuff and our accent and our pillowcase inside. So it's a nice and neat finish. It's really quick. You can whip one of these up in half an hour and you'll find they're really addicting to make. So to go along with this video, we've got some pillowcase kits over on the Sit and Sew website that you can check out. Grab one, your fabric will arrive at your house and you can put your own pillowcase together. They're a lot of fun to make. So let's take a look at the fabric that we need for our pillowcase. We're going to start out with a focal print. I've got this great sort of zigzaggy stripe print that will be the main part of my pillowcase. And then a cuff fabric. This is a really nice blue dot. And then a contrasting accent strip, and that will go in between my main pillowcase print and my cuff. So it's nice if it contrasts with kind of both of those prints. So we're going to cut all three of these pieces, and for your large print you want a piece that is 26.5 inches by 41 inches. For your cuff, you're going to want a piece that is 9 inches by 41 inches. And for the accent strip, a piece that is 3 inches by 41 inches. So our first step is to take this accent strip and press it in half so that we have a folded strip. So I'm going to start at one end, match up those raw edges, and work my way along the strip. Get it folded nice and straight. And now we get to the fun part, making the burrito. So we're going to start out by laying my cuff fabric down in front of me. And I don't have quite enough room under the camera here, so I'll just do what you can see in front of me and then take care of the rest. And we're going to take this folded accent strip with the raw edges matching up with the top edge of the cuff and pin them in place. And I'm going to pin every, 5 or 6 inches for the moment. Just work my way down. And now we're going to add in the main pillowcase fabric to that same edge. So I'm going to, still with raw edges matching, so I'm going to align my raw edge up with the two I already have, and then I'm going to take pins and kind of pin between the others. You can take the other pins out and use them if you want, but this way I know that my accent strip is staying in place, and then I'm also able to pin this main pillowcase fabric in place, not be undoing all of my pins. So I work my way along till I get to the end. And then we're going to get to the fun burrito part. Okay, so now that I have all that done, I'm going to push this up. What I'm actually going to do is start rolling my main pillowcase fabric up like this, the whole length like this. And you get it rolled up pretty tight if you can, because then the next step that we're going to do is actually fold the cuff. You can see the cuff is showing underneath because I've got my roll all the way up here. We're going to fold the cuff over the top, and we're going to pin that as well. So we've got a little sandwich here where we've got the one side of the cuff and then our accent strip folded in half, and then the pillowcase edge, and then folding the second edge of the cuff in as well. And I'm just going to pin it in place. You want to make sure that you can see my roll is plenty far back so I don't have to worry about it getting caught in my stitch line, and that's important. So make sure your roll does not come all the way up to the top edge where you're pinning and where you'll be stitching. That's why I say do as small of a roll as you can to keep it out of the way. And this right here is our burrito. We've got all the fabric encased in my little cuff tortilla, if you will, for our burrito. And now just gonna stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down this pinned edge. So we'll be stitching through both layers of the cuff, one layer of the pillowcase, and then the 2 layers of that accent strip. So I've stitched all the way down the edge of my burrito, and now comes the magic part. What we're gonna do is pull out everything that was stitched inside that tube, basically. And the tube will ultimately become our cuff of our pillowcase. I'm gonna pull it all out. And you can see I've got my pillowcase, my little accent edge, and my cuff. So when you're pressing, what we're going to do, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to be pressing this tube away from the accent, and then also creating that crease at the top of the cuff, just like the store-bought pillows you have on your bed at home likely have. See, I am pushing from that accent strip up towards that folded edge to get everything nice and flat. Just gonna work my way across the whole edge of my cuff. Make sure you do get that top edge nice and crisp. Okay. And so at this point, before we sew it together, let's take a look on the back side. You can do the same on the back as well if you need to make sure that your cuff is pressed away from that seam line. There we go. And that will just serve to make that top edge fold a little sharper as well. And so after you're done pressing, before we stitch, what you can do if you need to is square up the edges of your pillowcase. And because things move a little bit, no matter how much you pin, there's usually a little squaring up that needs to happen. So if I look at my pillowcase and get out my straight edge, and you can see right here, I just need to trim a little bit off of that cuff. There we go. So the next step is to fold the pillowcase in half, and we're going to start out by aligning the seams for where the cuff gets added on, as well as where those accent strips are. And I'm going to put a pin in there because we want those seams to align as perfectly as possible. And then another one at the top of my cuff. Then I'm going to just get these raw edges aligned over here. Oop. So what I'm going to do is put a pin in this corner because that's where I want to get to. And then I can just smooth out the fabric as I work my way down the edge. You want your raw edges to match as you work your way down. And then we're also going to turn and go along, well, I would call it the bottom edge, but I guess it's actually the end of your pillow, opposite where your cuff is. But same thing all the way over to this fold in the corner. Okay, so now that I have those two edges pinned, we've got our open edge here, and then here we've got our folded edge. So what we need to do is stitch down these two edges with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then we'll have one more step and our pillowcase is complete. So I've stitched down this long edge and down the short end. And when I stitch, I do back stitch at the beginning and the end because this will end up being the edge of your pillowcase and you want that to be nice and sturdy and locked in place. So the last thing we're going to do to prevent fraying as you wash and dry this pillowcase and use it is I'm going to zigzag stitch down my seam allowance here. If you have a serger, you can absolutely use that. I do not have a serger, so I'm going to use a zigzag. And I'm going to do a kind of a tight zigzag because I want to keep those edges from fraying, but make sure that it does not go over your stitched seam line here. So you want it to be a short zigzag that is just in the seam allowance. And once you do that down those two edges, we'll turn it right side out and stuff it with a pillow. Okay, here we go. Time to turn pillowcase right side out. Poke those corners out. I'm just doing it with my finger. Time to insert the pillow. As you can see, these pillowcases are really quick and easy to make. And when you find some fun fabrics, you can stitch one up real quick, and they're a great gift idea as well. So there's my pillowcase over the pillow. Beautiful. I think it's ready for a pillow fight. What do you think? So if you want to make a pillowcase yourself, or several, they're great birthday gifts, Christmas gifts for kids, grandkids, friends, that type of thing. We've got several pillowcase kits up on the Sit and Sew website. And we've chosen a focal print, a cuff, and an accent fabric that all go together, so you don't have to do the thinking. You just choose the theme that you like and grab your pillowcase kit and start sewing.